everyone, it's Cindy Kaza, and you're listening to the Paranormal Zone.
Look, I know the supernatural is something that isn't supposed to happen, but it does happen. A ghostly apparition in the dark of night.
Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria.
So, Micah, I was thinking, every episode I give an intro to, right?
You do.
Which includes usually a good-natured rib towards you,
Yep.
Well,
I've got hash marks on my arm.
Oh, I'm so sorry
for each one.
I am so sorry. Oh my god.
No, I'm kidding.
I mean, like I said, good-natured. Sometimes they're complimentary, but hey, sometimes compliments just aren't funny.
And a lot of times they just don't fit.
Well, that's not true either.
So,
but
anyway,
I was sitting here pondering the forthcoming discussion, and I was thinking about said intro, and I ran it through my brain, what I say, and I usually wrap it up by saying, my co-host with the ghosts, the paranormal poster boy, and I started thinking, I wanted to ask you, Mike, what would your poster image, you are the paranormal poster boy, what image is conjured up in your mind that would sell you as the paranormal poster boy? You know what I mean? Like something that maybe we can create on our own. We can, start.
That's a good idea. I like that.
Selling them to our listeners. I'm kidding about that.
Selling them, I'd give them away.
Exactly. That's exactly true.
The first image that comes to my mind actually is, okay, we all know the wonderful Ghostbuster franchise, the movies, the wonderful everything.
Of course.
That we love. Most of them. Some of them. But anyway.
Hey. I know you're going on that one.
Okay, so, the basically what the logo that they have is the very Casper-looking ghost with this red circle with a line through it, right?
Exactly.
But no ghosts. Okay, basically what it's saying.
Right.
What I see for me is that same type of thing, only actually more Casper-like, without the round circle, without the slash through it.
So it'd be your face.
I went around in a long story coming to just a very simple conclusion.
So
yes.
So it would be your smiling, grinning face with a red circle around it. Is that kind of what you're
with the red circle around it would be great, but just cannot have the red slash through it.
Right.
Meaning
right. Okay.
No. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But that was just off the top of my head, out of the crack of my ass that quick.
Wow.
It probably wouldn't work. That was just my first thought.
That explains the smell right now.
Wow. Yes, it does.
So, well, we'll workshop that. Okay. We'll workshop that.
I think we should workshop that. And it's another opportunity for listeners to get in touch with us and give us some ideas. What would you like to see?
The paranormal poster boy. You longtime listeners especially, they know what Mike's all about. They know his personality inside and out. Send us some ideas here. He does.
Unfortunately,
he is the imagery of the Paranormal Zone. Mike is what people think of when they hear the term, the podcast title, Paranormal Zone. Immediately, Michael Carbno pops into their brain.
Oh, sure.
And then some short little elf in the background with a squeaky voice is like trying to intro the episode.
And then a very loud recorded laugh track from the 50s.
That too. Exactly.
Would have to be part of it.
That too. Well, Mike, it is good to see you here. It is Sunday, the day before Labor Day. We hope
Sunday.
Wow, we hope everyone has a safe and fruitful Labor Day tomorrow. Hope everyone's safe. Enjoy your day off, if you indeed have your day off. I'm not sure what we're planning on doing. It might be a day of laziness. I am not sure, but we shall.
Oh hell! I was going to go back to Fargo and do some more wedding things, but
that's right.
Nothing's going to be open.
That's right, Mike. The big day is coming up here. Man.
Friday.
Wow. Now, are you going to introduce yourself as like, I'm the husband, as you walk down the aisle? Now, is there going to be an aisle to walk down? I mean, what?
Yeah, it's going to be set up chairs in Mary's sister's backyard, and they'll be separated so we can walk through and come up and do the whole deal. And Mary's sister actually has gotten herself ordained. If I haven't mentioned this on a previous episode, I don't know, but she got herself ordained online, and she's going to perform the ceremony.
Oh, wow, that's pretty cool. And I am there. I am included in this festive event, so it's going to be good. It's going to be good.
You are. It's a special thing. It's it's going to be a good gathering.
Nice,
good family gathering.
And me.
Yes, and you. Unfortunately, sans Bridget.
Yeah, exactly.
Got prior things that she really has to take care of.
Absolutely.
Very understandable.
Absolutely. But she, obviously, she sends nothing but her best to you guys. So.
Yes.
Well,
and
Mike,
I do want to say one more thing. I
sure.
want to extend an invitation to all the listeners over the world that, hey, if you're in Fargo, go ahead and stop by.
wherever you see the, I guess, I don't know, the
there will be Mylar balloons out on the
okay, that's what I was going to
mailbox on the street. So
I was going to say, you didn't rent a 50-foot tall a blow up doll.
No, those wavy things.
Those wavy things, or the hell those are called. Yeah.
Every time I see them, I laugh really hard because I love those things, but I get nauseated at the same time. So I don't know. They would not be welcome at our wedding.
Well, everyone
not a chance.
Everyone is invited to send Mike and Mary nothing but their best, and I'm sure everyone.
You'll all be there in spirit, in my heart.
Speaking of spirit, Mike, this is a good episode. Before I forget, since I mentioned it earlier, yes, hello everyone. This is your weekly dose of all things, you guessed it, paranormal, strange, and mysterious. This is the Paranormal Zone. I am your host, Patrick Koffenberg, and I am joined, as always, by my co-host / host with the ghosts, the paranormal poster boy himself. Let's see what I wrote.
The Casper without the red slash.
The man whose tombstone will read, "Give me a minute, Mike Carbno."
That's right. I'm almost there.
So, I had a couple of them written down when I was. I decided to go with that one. So, I'll save you.
I like it.
For the next.
Yeah, that was
okay.
good.
So, give me a minute, Mike. It is good to see you. No matter how many minutes everyone sits around waiting patiently, because it's all good. It's more than worth it. It is good to see you. Man, it seems like it's been forever. It's been a couple weeks since we've released a new episode. We did release that formerly Patreon exclusive Robert the Doll episode, which we got some good feedback on. So that's nice. That's awesome to hear. But
some great fun vintage episodes.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot that we went almost an hour and a half on that one. So that was a good,
really?
Yeah. I'm not sure about the quality, but the quantity was there.
Yeah, the quantity is there. Yeah, we can always go for quantity. I mean, that's no problem.
So, Mike, without any further ado here, as the kids say, or well, I just said, I don't know if the kids actually say that, but maybe they do.
And whatever they say, I don't understand it anyway. So.
Very true. The topic we are diving into today, ghosts, or I should say ghost in the basement. Now, before everyone goes, ooh, what is this? Is this a creepy, cool story about an alleged haunting, a ghost that's hanging out in someone's basement that Patrick or Michael knows about? No, nay, I'm sorry, it has nothing like that. It's kind of I'll admit it, maybe it's an eye catcher. It's people going, ooh, let's click on that, see what that's all about. No, this is going to be something where Mike and I just banter back and forth. We're talking about why ghosts / spirits do or would linger in said basements or said attic or said bathroom or whatever. what have you? It's something that's always kind of, I don't want to say irked me, but it's, I'm going to be honest. It has irked me. It's that wonderful skeptical, pseudo-skeptic reply where they always say something along these lines. Well, if it's a ghost, then why can't it walk through the walls? Why is it stuck in there?
Why is it stuck in there? Patrick, I love that voice you're doing. It's awesome.
Oh, thank you very much.
It fits.
I hear that so much, though. It's to me, that is such a thoughtless criticism. What I mean by that is that it takes no critical thinking at all to say that. If you're going to have a discussion, a serious discussion, and you just sit there and go, like, well, if it's a ghost, why can't I move away? Well, that's... if you're a believer, if you're at least open-minded, there's a lot more to it than that. Well, Mike and I believe that there is more to it than that. Maybe we're wrong, but that's kind of what we're going to be diving into today. Some theories, some of our own opinions.
We got them. Hey, I said on the Twit or the X or whatever you want to call it now.
Yeah, that's right.
I had a couple of good gifts there that showed my intent on my opinion. So
I know, and you were very forceful because I replied to you and I was like, "All right, awesome," ha 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 or something, and then you immediately replied and you said, "I mean it."
Yeah, with a very
I was like,
grim, sulking-looking face.
It's like I believed you, Mike. I believe.
Yeah, I was just expounding on the exclamation of it. That's all.
All right, so let's. How do we want to start this one, Mike? This is a quite literal, off-the-cuff, opinionated discussion, so that it's going to be pretty fun. It's going to be pretty good.
And we aren't just specifically talking about a haunted basement.
No, exactly.
Either. It's like, like you said, you explained it.
Yeah, it's like why would they be quote unquote trapped, or why would they choose to be in one room or opposed to another, or even a locale for that matter,
right.
a particular house? Any number of examples we could throw out there. But for the sake of the title, Ghost in the Basement, we're going to kind of try and stay focused on that idea in itself. Now, one example that popped in my brain that this will get the conversation going here is from our good friend, our friend of the podcast, and our a veteran guest on this show, the awesome Dustin Perry from Ghost Hunters and Ghost Hunters International. Last year, Mike, if you do remember, we actually made a visit to the Sally House. I remember well. Yes. I shall not forget. The infamous, allegedly haunted Sally House, which we need to make plans to go to again and do a better job the next time we make it there. But before we had, sauntered on down to the Sally House, I was messaging Dustin about what his thoughts on the Sally House, and to spare everyone the details, at one point he did share one experience that he had at the Sally House. He said basically it was he and some friends were there for 3 days, and he said essentially nothing really happened until the last day they were there, when they were all down in the basement. Now, if you're wondering what the basement steps look like going down, going down into the basement of the Sally House, obviously, what they look like.
Frightening.
Oh, man. The episode image is one that I took when we were there, just kind of,
right.
Peeking on down towards the basement area. So
I show that picture to Mary, and Mary just does not want anything to do with it. She does not like to look at it at all.
Oh my gosh! I mean, that was the first thing we did when we got there. Was we had to peek down to the basement? Where's the basement?
Yeah.
So yeah, just kind of maybe focus on that image, and just there's allegedly a lot of. It's kind of a hot spot in that house. I mean, there's a couple alleged hot spots, but the basement in particular. And Dustin had an experience himself when he was down there by himself. He and his friends were in the basement all together at one point, but they had all one by one left the room or left the basement until Dustin was the only one down in there in complete darkness. When he was in complete darkness, all of a sudden he heard and kind of sensed and felt that presence, that weight, footsteps rushing towards him in that basement.
Yeah, it was like a shuffling kind of
A
sound,
shuffling, a creepy ass shuffling that said it was rushing towards him, so much so that he instinctively stepped backwards as far as he could until he backed up against the wall because he couldn't go any further. And he said that was creepy. That was eerie, to say the least. And that was like kind of the only experience. But man, what an experience. So that being said, why not experience anything remotely paranormal the whole time they're there? Every other area of the house, every other room, until Dustin was down there in the basement by himself. Now, this is coming from, I have to say this too, this is coming from a man who himself, I don't think he would mind me saying this on the air, is that he's kind of leery about the alleged hauntings of the Sally house, but he's not leery of what he experienced in the basement.
Right. Good way to put it.
So what in the world happened to Dustin, and what in the world is lingering in that basement? Now, I want to throw all that out there, Mike, to get this conversation flowing. Your thoughts first and foremost on what the hell Dustin may have experienced and what the hell may be lingering down in that creepy ass Sally house basement.
Just the thought of, the feeling, you have that feeling, you feel it, there's that heaviness, and then you hear that. I mean, to me, what was it but paranormal? I mean, there's alleged things that, like you said, that happen in the basement. There's supposedly the demonic conjuring and the pentagram on the floor, which we still should have went down there. We just, every time we talk about this, we always say, why did we just not go down there anyway?
I know. I'm so disappointed in myself. They wouldn't have found out.
Right. And unless they had cameras up there, but who knows?
But everything you see on everyone who's been at the Sally house, they all go down there. No one listens. We're the only good boys who obeyed the rules.
Well, we were tired and hungry. So.
That's very true. That's very true. So,
and I think I had diarrhea from my Big Mac. So,
TMI. Goodness gracious.
Concentration and focus was, it was difficult, but
we had a good time. The Paranormal Zone, the only podcast where you get complete honesty about one's bowel movements. So that's a good thing. You can always rely on us.
It's not the first time it's happened on the episodes, but to go back to this, but to the basement, is something down there because it was conjured up down there, or was it something that's always been there? Mm-hmm. Certainly, if it was something that had to do with the story of the Sally house, it doesn't make sense. Why would Sally be down there? Or, could she go down there anywhere in the house she wanted to? Like, basically she could. But giving the thought of what went down there from a previous owner, the pentagram on the floor, the chanting, the conjuring.
Like the rituals kind of.
Exactly. The rituals. Yeah. I would say that could be something that's there. It's stuck there. It was brought there. Is it something elemental? Is it an actual spirit, protecting its area where it came from?
I like the idea. I like the idea of that.
Meant to be.
I like the idea of the elemental. I mean, if it was elemental in nature, would that kind of lend more credence to the idea of it not being able to move on from the basement? Maybe I got to do a lot more research on elementals. I've had, my interest in that has actually been growing, and it might be a good episode, future episode. I absolutely think so.
And I know we have listeners that would enjoy that. So, but it could be any of those things.
Obviously it was tough to judge from Dustin's text whether or not he felt it was like ominous in nature, or if it was malevolent, benevolent.
Right.
It's hard to surmise that, but there's no denying that it creeped him out. And this is he's a professional paranormal investigator, who isn't easy to get creeped out like that in said situations. And this wasn't being filmed for any program. This wasn't aired on Ghost Hunters or anything like that. That was totally on their own.
Personal experience.
Exactly. So I believe him 195%.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Unfortunately, that's all we have is just a personal experience. But we trust Dustin. A lot of people know and trust us. And he wouldn't lie, especially when he's just telling, you and I this story.
Right.
And it put him in that defensive mode, to step back and it freaked him out. It was something that he felt.
Exactly.
He had to be defensive about.
So that's kind of like we're kind of planting the seed here for the conversation. It's like, what? That's just one example. Why, if there is something lingering in that basement, why can it not move on? Why is that the only place where people experience things at the Sally house? I'm not saying that's the case. People experience paranormal, I'm doing air quotes, paranormal activity throughout the house. Mike and I had our own experiences, personal experiences. Mike felt very, very off and weird that night up in Sally's room,
That was crazy. Yeah.
You felt that kind of weight kind of just go through you.
It's like I felt it. It was like a wave, like coming towards me and through me. It was
Whoop! I hit my
interesting feeling that I couldn't understand.
That was perfect timing. I accidentally hit my headphones on the microphone, and you froze up right when that happened. So I was like, "Oh shit!
Really?
That's my fault. I'm sorry." But no, you came. You're back.
Okay, no problem.
Now, this idea popped into my little noggin the other day, Mike. This is why I mentioned to you yesterday, where I said I want to kind of save it for the episode here because I want to get your organic, immediate, thoughts on this. And I'm not breaking any ground here, but I want to throw this your way. Now, let's say someone's den is allegedly filled with paranormal activity. Okay, nothing else. No one in the house experiences anything until they get into this den. Okay. What do you think of the possibility of the person himself who experiences activity in that den has something attached to him or her where it is only activated, for lack of a better term, when they enter that room? No other rooms in the house, in a locale, I guess, would provide enough energy, would ignite, would spark that paranormal, unexplained activity. No other house can do that, or no other room in the house can do it except that one. And it's
that's deep.
It's attached to the person, and it's the room itself that sparks that activity. What do you think about that?
I think it's crazy, but I love it.
Good.
I mean, that's something I've never thought of or never had a thought of. Well, probably because it's so crazy, but but anyway, I mean, you would have to put it in. The only way I can put it is that there's a relationship between that person and that room. I mean, there's some kind of a bond there, but why would it be something as man-made as a room? Well, anything man-made can be haunted. We know that, like any house. But why would it be just that room? Mm-hmm. You really got to get down to why would there be a relationship between this person and this room? Mm-hmm. Could it have been like something tragic that happened to that person so young in that room? Did he see something? Did he experience something that's an energy that just imprinted on those walls and that kid? Mm-hmm. There's some energy burst from that person as a child. That, well, it depends on if did they grow up there or if it's a person living there that moved in there. So
I like this. I like where you're going with that, though.
But there's that premise. I mean, even say a person moves into a house and they've lived there for 40 years or whatever, and over those 40 years that's been going on. Mm-hmm. Put it that way. So it's not a child growing up, but something, again, extremely traumatizing happened to that person, saw something that might have been part of what's going on in that room that imprinted on him. So are we going to think of it as this location, this room that imprinted on this one person at that just the right time that person went into the room?
Yes.
Or did that person experience something in that room Oh, you know,
I like
you
that.
go around in circles, spinning, you know, trying to get this.
I really like that idea,
out.
though. I really, really like that idea.
I'm just trying to think of what could cause a relationship. I mean, because it's an obviously strong relationship between this room and a person.
And again, that's just a idea that popped into my noggin the other day. So we're not saying there's any validity to this possibility by any means. We're just kind of bouncing this off each other. But
that validity.
Yes, that too.
That validity. You know, you want that validity. God, I can't say the word, but you know the word I'm trying to say. But
don't try and say that anymore.
It's great in the brain, and it's like, well, that's a great idea. But then all of a sudden, you hear this loud fart, and the idea is gone. So, non-valid, invalid.
What I tend to hear instead of a loud fart is that Price is Right loser horn.
I know.
Dun,
Yeah.
dun, ba-bum.
But you don't have your soundboard going, do you?
No, I didn't want to set it up.
That's okay.
I really didn't want to set it up.
Well,
today.
sometimes it's fun to make our own sound.
Yeah, I think so too.
You know, like no.
No. Yeah. Well.
No.
Yeah. Well, we have plenty of you on the soundboard too. So.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Well, Mike.
I don't know.
Another idea. I mean, we have to take a quick time traveling excursion here.
Coming.
Another idea that popped in my brain just now, actually, when I was listening to you, it might correlate with what we were discussing too. Is like, and again, this might be a little wacky, a little out there for some to digest, but in relation to the idea of that attachment, that relationship, that experience that maybe happened at one time in this person's life, they never experienced it any other place except there. Is it also except at a, or let me rephrase that. Is it also only experienced at a particular like time? Is it like perhaps walking in and out of a dimension?
Yeah.
Parallel dimensions.
Exactly. The portal popped into my head.
There you go.
You know.
What do you guys think? I mean, it's a fun little idea to banter about back and forth. We do not know. We just wanted to throw that out there, and
you know what it is. It's the Slee Stack on Land of the Lost. That one that has a crystal that puts it in that thing, and dimension opens up.
That's what it is.
So it's happening on their end, but for some reason that room has connected with it. Some frequency has connected with it.
See, I thought you were going to go down the road where it was actually some like actor from the original Land of the Lost who was like behind all of this, or is that totally off base?
Well, no, absolutely
Man,
not.
should our listeners,
Will and Holly, they're still really into
our listeners
Land of Lost thing,
needed to see Mike's look of disgust when I just said that. Mike, the scowl. Talk about. He had the face where it looked like he was smelling the world's worst fart at that moment. So that was, I feel good for upsetting you so much on that.
Well, thank you for letting me ramble on about it.
Oh, that's okay. Well, Mike, let's take a brief time traveling excursion. This will be literally seamless for our listeners. You know why?
Not for us.
Not for us, because we're going to be gone for about a week. Until then,
no, we won't.
Peace out. We'll see you in a second. And we have returned successfully from another time traveling excursion. Mike, you look different. I told you it'd be like a week or so, but you didn't have to, do a complete entire wardrobe change. But hey,
just my cap.
Just your cap. Well, that's all I see.
It's my scally.
That's his scally. Yeah, that looks good.
Hey, and then I'm wearing my Guinness T-shirt with a big 4-leaf clover on it. So I guess I'm kind of.
Gosh. Why is this not on YouTube? Why is this not on YouTube right now? So people
I know. Look at the Sally mirrors behind me and everything, and the funky monkey and all that stuff. Should be on YouTube.
Just in case anyone is wondering, because we've been promoting it so much, yes, we are going to be putting more and more YouTube stuff out there. And I'm trying to, as far as like a YouTube exclusive and YouTube video content, because we know that's the way of the world right now. And hey, it's fun as hell putting that shit out on there. So it's just a matter of I'll take the blame. I'm being very, very picky about what I want to put out on there. And quite frankly, I also want to eventually, hopefully soon, get a different type of software, Mike, that makes you and I look better. When You know what I mean? Just something,
I need the best that you can do.
Not like physically change our appearance, but as far, make it look a little more professional. I don't know what I'm looking at. Anyone have any suggestions?
I know exactly what you mean.
Give me some ideas. Getting back to our conversation at hand here, I also want to say, I want to read one of the notes I had written down to myself. When I was kind of doing the mocking tone of like the pseudo skeptics. Why can't a ghost just walk through the wall? Why is it trapped? Blah, 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 blah. I also wrote down, and I underlined it, some humans don't even leave their houses. It's
exactly.
Why is it so hard to accept the possibility that someone in that other dimension, the spirit world, just doesn't want to leave?
Exactly. I had that too when we were talking about that. We earlier on the show, I had that thought of like people in life that have the bad OCD, whatever, they're housebound, they're hoarders, whatever, and like hoarders, they get themselves to where they have one room that they can basically function in, and why can't it be like that in the world, the paranormal world?
Right.
Seriously.
There is the phrase that, it might sound silly, but there is the phrase out there, ghosts were people too,
Exactly. And that is said a lot by, investigators and
I mean, and we've also talked about this possibility, and listeners know all about this as well. The idea that they sadly maybe don't realize that they have physically passed away, and they are they're in their comfort zone, so to speak, because they don't know any better. They don't know that they shouldn't be there anymore. That's another possibility. I mean, we could go any number of ways. There are any dips and turns that you could think of. It's fun to talk about. No one knows. No one knows. Even you, pseudo-skeptics, you do not know. You are not 195% certain that ghosts do not exist. And I'm talking to all of our skeptical friends out there. That is a huge pet peeve of mine, is those darn... I almost called them a name.
I was watching you intently, waiting for what's going to come out of your mouth.
Well, just those. I'm using the phrase, even though David Schrader hates it. I'm going to use the phrase or the term pseudo skeptic forever, because the pet peeve of mine is those who claim to know, because you simply do not. You can prove that ghosts don't exist. I think not. I think not, my friend. But hey, whatever. I'm not changing anyone's opinions, that's for sure.
And not that we dislike the skeptics and the hardcore skeptics. We are going to have another one on one of our shows, exactly. I'm sure, eventually.
Exactly. Mr. Z from back in the day, one of our last interviews as the Alternate Route podcast. We love the guy. He's a well-known media. He's a movie critic. He's a well-known guy here in the state of Minnesota and neighboring states. Oh, see, the dog got excited about him too. But he is a very, well, to keep it short, he doesn't believe in any of this cockamamie nonsense, and we love talking to him about that. So we go back and forth, and we're going to plan on doing that again in the near future.
That's exactly what I was thinking about. All that hooey.
All that darn hooey, the smelly, sticky hooey. Now, another thing I wrote down here, Mike, because this is actually something I saw as, during my thorough and deep research into these questions we were going to pose on the episode. One answer, quote unquote, answer I found online from a so-called expert says that in regards to why a spirit or ghost would be trapped or why it can't leave a room, their idea was that it depends on what type of spirit or ghost is in said room. Now, what do you think of that notion, Mike? The first thing that popped into my brain was simply residual versus intelligent hunt.
Sure.
Is there more to it in your mind? I mean,
wow.
Oh man, how do I say this? Is an intelligent spirit more apt to wander as opposed to a residual, or perhaps maybe poltergeist activity? Maybe that's relegated to one area. I mean, what pops into your brain? This is off the cuff conversation, quite literally off the cuff. So I want your 2 cents. What say you? Mike's frozen right now, so I'm killing time. I'm waiting for my computer to crash at this moment. Hopefully it doesn't. But okay, there he's back. Mike, can you hear me? Am I coming through loud and clear?
I'm getting little bits and pieces, but now you're coming through fine.
Finally. Long story short, your thoughts on the idea of it depends on what type of spirit / ghost / energy is inhabiting that room.
Well, I think the residual that you brought up, that would be obviously tied to that room, because that's where the event took place, where it was recorded in the walls of history around it.
There you
all
go.
That stuff.
Yes.
So
yes.
it's only going to be there. It doesn't have the intelligence to. Well, it doesn't even. It's like playing a movie over and over again. It's in that same room. That's my opinion on the residual.
Kind of going back to that crazy idea I threw towards you in the first half of the episode here, kind of swinging back to the idea of the person, him or herself, being the root cause of the activity in one room and one room only. How about an item in that room being the root cause? Obviously, I'm looking at your crazy, wacky monkey behind you. Let's say that thing was haunted.
Yeah.
And
I think it is. Look at it staring right at the camera.
It's creepy, black, blank eyeballs just
it's
staring.
Like right next to me, behind me. YouTube.
So let's say for argument's sake that wacky, creepy monkey was haunted. And then you put it in your bedroom and hey, guess what? Weird, wacky stuff happens in your bedroom. Not saying it doesn't anyways.
A weird, wacky, wild thing.
And then you move it out of your bedroom and you move it to the kitchen, and then weird, wacky stuff starts happening in the kitchen. So that, we get that argument. That's
right.
That's haunted item is what's causing said room that it inhabits to have activity.
But that does not keep it to a one specific room. That's
right.
You move it to another room, the other room is done, and it's on to the next one. So that doesn't fit.
I'm just looking at my professional notes here, Mike. What I have written down, I have several questions. I'm trying to figure out where I want to start. We kind of touched on it. Depends on what type of ghost. I don't know about that. Nothing's really popping into my brain that's satisfying to me about it being. It depends on what type of spirit as to why it would remain.
Yeah.
Again, ghosts were people too. Is it simply attached to their place of dwelling during their lifetime? Why is that so hard to accept? It just doesn't.
Exactly. Like in life, a person could have had every day where they had a certain time of the day where they just wanted to sit in their favorite chair in their favorite room, and probably having thoughts while alive, sitting there going, if I could choose heaven, this would be it. Because it's like what they just love every day, Mike, part of their living routine.
Thank you for saying that, because that's another thing I was looking into today. This was, what was his name? Tony Stockwell, I think. He's a medium, a psychic / medium. And I was reading some of his quotes about this idea of residuals, and he has theories about his belief as to what is the difference between a ghost and a spirit. And he's like, well, spirits are kind of those who have passed. They've lived in this lifetime and they've passed and they've come back for whatever reason, or they haven't moved on. Whereas a ghost is kind of like, according to him, it's more of like the emotional residual attachment. And when you're just saying right there, made so much sense that, okay, let's say that this person, when they were alive, they just love that moment, that time when they get to sit down, maybe they're meditating, who knows, maybe they put on their favorite record and they're sitting back and they're totally content, they're happy. Like you said, this is my idea of heaven.
This is where I've had an actual out-of-body experience while I'm alive, and boy,
why not?
The ultimate out-of-body experience is dying and going on, or doing what you want to do, or where you want to be.
But that is a strong emotion. Right?
Absolutely.
So when you are that content, that happy, talk about that residual emotion that is left there. It is left in that chair. It is left in that room. So there maybe is a potential answer as to why that room, that chair, what have you, seems to have a little weird, wacky paranormal activity surrounded it.
Right. Yeah. A lot of strong emotion. Yeah, that makes sense to me.
I don't think that ghosts are trapped. I don't think all ghosts are trapped.
I don't think they need to be, unless in their mind or their way of thinking that keeps them there, not actually trapped, but their mind or their mindset or their thought process hasn't trapped.
Right, and we're not saying that a energy slash spirit slash ghost can't be supposedly trapped, because we've talked about this 1,000,001 times as well. Could have been a traumatic death, and they don't know that they have physically died, and they are there. They are essentially kind of trapped. They don't understand how to move on.
Mm-hmm.
That's a possibility. So we're not saying that isn't the case here. Man, my brain's kind of hurting a little bit, but I like it. It's a good kind of hurt.
Your brain hurts.
It's a good kind of hurt.
But boy, you sure get tired by the end of the day.
I
You
sure
just gotta
do,
lay
man.
down.
That's
Gotta lay down.
That reminds me of a classic Far Side joke. I love the Far Side. It's like a couple of cowboys back in the day, and one cowboy is trying to console his injured cowboy friend who's laying on his back, and he is just pierced with numerous arrows that are just jabbed inside of him. He's on the verge of death, and he says, "Yeah, Zeke, I hurt, but it's a good kind of hurt."
Yeah. I remember the image of that when I couldn't remember what it said, but
It's so good.
I would look through those Far Side flip calendars, like you can
I
put on
know.
a desk.
They're so good.
I'd read them like a book. I'd sit there and just go through them.
Oh,
Yep.
It's the best. Gary Larson is the best, man. That's so funny.
Pure talent.
Now, if you guys recall, I'm going to go off on a brief tangent here. When at the first half of the episode here, I mentioned that the Robert Adele Patreon episode was like, it was like an hour and a half. I kind of sounded like I was amazed. I also remember back in the day, Mike, it was common for us to go 2.5 hours for every damn episode. But then a lot of it was filled with a bunch of, I don't know, shit.
Well, we were both heavily drinking during that time.
Well, when Bridget was with the show too, we had such a good time, just talking, having fun, until we started getting more and more focused, obviously. Some people will think that we still aren't focused, but that's okay. That's their prerogative.
We're at our level of focus, and that's where we need to be.
But I bring that up though, Mike, because before moving on with more discussion here, I think it's time, and I think you'd have fun if we did a Nonsensicast radio return.
My God. Yes.
Oh, you should see. You should see the look on Mike's face now. He looked like he was getting a gentle back rub from a spirit right now. It was great.
Yeah. It's like bringing back a wonderful childhood memory if you have one. Yeah.
I mean, we can bring back all the bits, just every little silly segment we did. I think it'd be fun. For those who are tuning in for the first time, Nonsensecast Radio was the very first incarnation of this podcast. And it was all
many
fun.
Years ago, actually.
Many years ago. It was all in good fun. We were crazy. Bridget and I started it. Mike joined in. We started heavily focusing on a lot of paranormal talk because, frankly, Mike...
They didn't give me a choice.
And then our first guest was the aforementioned awesome Dustin Perry. And then I was like, man, I'm going to start focusing on getting more and more guests from the paranormal field on the show. And we've been off and running since then. But Nonsensecast Radio was so much fun. It was just gibberish. It was hilarity. Well, we thought it was hilarious.
To us it was. I mean, and I think we had some listeners that really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I mean, it brought some listeners in, and then like you said, it moved on. After Dustin Perry, just what comes to my mind is, do you think we have a plethora of celebrity guests? Yes, we do.
I'd say we have a plethora. Yes, I do.
And a few sweaters thrown in as well.
But I think it'd be fun to just kind
I
of
watched that movie last night. It was awesome, as always.
I think
anyway, go ahead.
No, it would be fun to let loose and just have a silly, fun Nonsensecast Radio reboot, so to speak, in the near future.
Absolutely.
So, Mike, another. I speak English. Another note I have written down here.
Patrick.
That's very true. Why are basements creepy? / do we conjure up activity due to fear? That creepy aspect of a basement. first and foremost, why? I mean, I'm not saying you necessarily find basements creepy. I'm not necessarily
I
saying
do.
I do. Not all of them.
Especially mine.
Well, there's the thing. Okay. There's different types of basements. Okay, we get it.
Exactly.
So when I'm talking about even non-furnished, it's not really a livable space down in.
It has to have the creep factor to it. I mean,
yes.
We're not talking like you live in a beautiful duplex and you go to the downstairs part
right.
and you're just like you're in your living room upstairs.
Exactly.
But with a bar on one end and a big screen TV and
Mike's fantasizing now.
And I'm back. And anyway, I don't drink anymore, so I'm not a bar, but you know what I mean.
Hash station.
Yes. But anyway, this time we must get back on track.
So
where were we?
Well, the idea of basements being creepy themselves, and does that sort of it pertains to the subject at hand, but does the human effect have an impact on paranormal activity, like humans being creeped out, kind of naturally creeped out by a damp, dank, smelly, noisy, furnace riddled basement? Does that? What can we do to actually create something down in that basement? Paranormally,
What is it that we do that conjures that up in our mind?
Yeah,
it's what does that fear puts you in a state of mind of even before you take that first step down the basement.
Great point.
If you're in that, if that's how you feel, how dramatically you feel about basements, but and your mind is building with each step that you go down. If you have this fear in you to begin with, and that time that you're getting down into that basement, each step you take, your mind is going, what might I hear down there? What might I see? Boy, it's building. And
Amen.
then a light bulb goes out, and then you're on that bottom step and you're, and you faint and you're done because that fear is so strong that you're not even going to get in there to see something. Your mind can do this before you even entirely in the situation.
And Mike is speaking of personal experience, boys and girls. No, I'm kidding.
I am.
I don't know if you fainted.
Loosely based.
Well, that is. Thank you for bringing that up because that's such a good point. If you are tensed up, if you're already creeped out when you're entering like someplace that's allegedly haunted, every little thing you see and hear in your mind is going to be amplified. It's going to be, dare I say, interpreted as paranormal in nature, where it could have been, like you said, it could have been an absolutely natural thing, a flicker in the electrical wires, the bulb could have went out. Just like the creak in the floor, natural old wood boards just creaking. Oh my God, what's that? Yes, we get it.
Yeah, I think just about anybody, even can go back in their childhood and think of something that happened even once. But at the same time, I want to flip the side to this, to that fear that you're feeling and that stuff that's going through your head. It's building and building just like before, but it's also building that energy that it's something might already be down there,
and it's feeding off of it.
And it's feeding off of that energy and that fear that's building up so much that whether there's something down there or not, you're scared to death. But if that energy and that fear is giving that the energy that it needs,
Mike, it's like
there you go.
The world between the living, I should say the living relationship with the spirit world, to me, in a lot of ways, and you really sparked this idea in my brain. It's like symbiotic almost, right? It's like
absolutely.
They feed off of one another.
I love that word, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And they help each other reveal itself. You know what I mean? I like that idea. It's like they feel you coming down the steps physically, but they also sense that you're creeped out. And they're like, ooh, this is kind of sparking my energy here. This is making it easier to make myself known. Thank you very much, Mr. Human. I like that idea.
It's like taking a feather to the bottom of a person that has a very odd fetish. It's just you just
So would that be a feather fetish? Say that 5 times.
Well,
fast.
no.
See, you can't.
But
You
you
can't.
know what I mean. All I'm doing is making blubbery noises when you're asking me to do that. So forget it.
Maybe
But you know what I mean.
maybe that to go back to the paranormal poster boy image, maybe you need to be like floating on a pile of feathers, Mike,
Yes.
with a very cherubic look on your face. I'm seeing it right now. Again, send us your ideas,
Well,
listeners.
Either that or my head sticking out of a large pile of elephant dung. I don't know.
Hey, some people might talk about fetishes, man. Some people might like that. So
But I would like to see Jeff Goldblum behind me saying, "That's a lot of shit." Anyway, but you know what I mean.
it can be done. It can be done. Let's see. Looking at my professional notes again. Okay, I have to ask this.
Okay.
It's not necessarily. It doesn't necessarily pertain to the idea of something being positioned, hanging out for eternity in a certain area of a certain house. But I did write down, Mike, how do ghosts spend their time?
Yeah.
I seriously talk about stuff that is. My stupid little brain thinks about stuff like this every now and then.
I have gone through this in my head before, and it's like it's crazy to think of.
Yes, it's impossible to really wrap our human mind around it. At least in my case.
It is.
Because
It is.
we have to throw out our limited understanding of physics totally, because the spirit world, the other dimensions, whatever you want to call them, I feel we have no idea what it is like. We literally don't. It's impossible.
Yeah, we can't.
The smartest minds in the world can have very well thought out and believable arguments as to what they believe might be happening.
I tell you, you got to get a hold of Mickey Kaku's people.
Oh man! Thank you for putting the "ooh" at the end of that. By the way, that was very close to sounding naughty. Man alive!
In Patrick's mind, that's where he goes.
Yeah,
But
sorry.
anyway, but you know what I mean.
I
But
apologize.
but go on with this because you're making a lot of sense.
Well, now I'm thinking about dirty Mikio Kaku images.
Ooh. Yeah, now he's never going to want to come on because he's
know.
going to hear that.
Exactly. Well,
You
he's
know it.
listening. He's listening right now. He has some sort of machinery that he has developed that immediately detects every mention of his name throughout the world. And he hunts them down
Yeah.
and dissects.
Plus,
Go ahead.
Plus, he has clicked the alert button on his text from us. Anyway,
The red flag pops up immediately when it comes to the paranormal.
yeah, there
zone.
we go.
I did message him a couple of times on his personal contact page, I guess, on the website. I never heard back, obviously. Shocking.
Yeah.
I'm
Well-
sure he probably gets 1 million a day, and he's not going to.
Oh, you know he does. He doesn't see them all.
No. So, all right, where are they? Oh yeah. So, getting back to how do ghosts spend their time, Mike? Do they spend their time? Well, obviously, there's an idea that they. I'm doing the air quotes again. Spend their time. Another giant air quote. Trapped in one particular area in a room, even though we don't believe that they are all trapped by any means.
Yeah.
An intelligent spirit, an intelligent haunting, Mike. How does it spend its time? Again, we have to throw out our notion of time because it does not exist in the spirit world.
Right.
That's what makes it such a frustrating argument when you're talking with those pseudo-skeptics. I'm sorry I keep bringing up pseudo-skeptics, but I'm ornery today when it comes to some of the crap I hear from other folks. But,
Well, we did say we were going to have opinions on this show, and damn it, we're going to bring them.
and we did yell about it,
And
too.
I mean it.
So, okay, Mike, getting back to you, I keep asking you a question and then I go off on a tangent. I apologize.
I do too, and I'm sorry about that.
How do ghosts spend their time, Mike?
You know, they don't play games. They don't sit there and hold their pee because somebody's in the bathroom.
Their what?
Their pee because somebody else is in the bathroom or anything like that.
Okay, I thought that's what you said.
All we can do is put out the theories that we might have. Okay,
So you don't think I'm interrupting you because I need to.
Oh, that's fine.
So you don't think that someone who was a virtuoso guitarist on this physical world, their physical existence, isn't some. That's who they are. That's their innate energy. That's what they truly are. They are a musician. That
We
is what
each
they
have
are.
that we even don't even know yet.
So I'm
possibly.
not saying this is where you were going, but
Anyway,
so you are saying that innate musicianship that makes up that person's energy does not exist in the other realm.
am I saying that?
That's why I interrupted you, because I want to make sure that's kind of. I assume that's not where you were going.
No, I would never.
I didn't think
ever.
so. But the reason I brought that up because you said
Yes,
they're
tell
not.
me.
The reason I brought that up because you were saying they're not sitting there playing games. Well, what if Grandma Judy's favorite thing to do was play pinochle, or whatever?
Then if they're doing what they want to do and what they love best to do, then they should have the energy to be able to, if that's their heaven, there's no entrapment there. They should be able to go where they want to go if they're allowed to. It's not like, okay, you can do what you're most happy at doing, play your guitar, but you have to do it in this room. And that spirit is going to say, like, what do you mean? I mean,
Right.
I'm not, that's not a level that I am at. If I can do this, if I can enjoy this, if I'm, and I shouldn't have to feel trapped. If that's the energy that if that's my true strength, my true energy that I had during life and that is maybe even stronger in death. I don't think that they're even going to be there unless they want to be there. Do you understand that point at all? I know I kind of.
No, I do. I do. It's just one of those things that has always, again, my feeble mind struggles to, understand it.
So anyway, but that's my tangent that went off on what I thought you were kind of getting to, but
yeah.
But we got to put out different theories. That's all we can do. Is do they just sit there and wait for a living person to come around and they can, like, okay, I'm here, I'm haunting you, or I'm going to do this or that. That's like what's going on when we see them, when we hear them. So when they're not doing that, if they're capable of doing that, I think it's possible that they could be going into there's kind of an in-between the dimensions of where we're at and where maybe the spirit realm is. Maybe they're kind of in between there. And what I picture is like kind
of like a paranormal limbo, kind of.
Yes, like you can see like wavy energy, and it's just there in between, and that's what we all are if we're stuck.
And that would be timeless. I mean, again,
and that would be timeless, exactly. So if a ghost has knowledge of whatever, the time part isn't going to matter. It's just that it's there.
I mean, you have to, and this is going along with your argument, and I totally love it, because we have to accept the possibility that spirits have an infinite amount of more capabilities than we can even conjure up in our little brains.
Right. That spirits don't even realize totally.
It might just
possibly.
There's that word again, innate. I mean, it's innately. It comes to them in an innate fashion. It's
right.
Requires no thought. Okay.
Right. And if they're in that limbo,
I'm sweating. My brain is like making me sweat.
If they're in that limbo between here and there, and just that, wavy energy, and as we get closer to that, as our energy maybe starts to interact with them, or we get closer with them with our batteries that are in our equipment, our ghost hunting equipment, whatever, that's feeding that energy, feeding it until either our batteries are drained or that entity has gotten enough energy to come over through to this very thin side of that veil and manifest as seeing a shadow person, seeing something out of the corner of your eye, hearing something drop, anything like that.
I love that.
And so maybe that's what's happening until they get an energy to
kind of like that's something you see on a lot of captured alleged paranormal evidence are like those audio anomalies where you hear like that pop. There's like something,
sure, yeah.
you know, and it's been theorized that is something that is the physical interpretation on our part of something going in and out of like that
Right.
veil, you know, going between that veil, through that veil.
And listening to EVPs, say for another example, you hear an EVP that clear as day, but it sounds like it's in underwater or something, or it sounds like it's going through some kind of an electronical. You know, there's something there that's quite making it clear enough, and that's because it doesn't have enough energy yet to come through, but it's coming through, and you're hearing that in that way. Anyway, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry, but I was very, very rude there. I apologize.
Oh, no.
We have our own example of an EVP captured that sounds just like it's coming through an electronic talk box. You know, it's
absolutely
that one that sounds like it's mocking me when it repeats what I say.
Right.
When I say watch that video, then we immediately hear that something says watch that, and it sounds electrical. It sounds robotic.
Right.
It's
exactly. And the EVPs that are so soft, but you can hear them, but you have to kind of clean it up a little bit to hear it. Mm-hmm. They just don't have the energy to bring it up to that level. They don't have enough energy to bring it up to, mechanical sound. And the mechanical sound doesn't have enough energy quite yet to bring it to where it sounds like it's clear, being said right next to your ear.
Yes. I love that. I love that idea.
It's a feeding and sharing of energy.
Yes.
We go into like the Sally House. We went into these places wanting to make sure that everything had fresh batteries, everything was charged up, because we know that can happen.
Yep.
It happens to everybody. I mean, that's kind of a validity or validation to me in my feeble mind that I'm speaking some truth or some possibilities of truth.
Well, and again, of course, at the Sally House, just speaking of making sure all the batteries are charged, which we did. Everything was double checked.
And then they're done quick.
Double checked.
That's what I'm talking about.
Triple checked, quadruple checked. The moment we start using said piece of equipment, guess what? It dies.
The green light's on. Let's go.
It happened in that flippin' freaky abandoned house that's 5 miles away from here. One of the very first places we checked out. I had a fully charged camcorder at that time.
Yeah, I still love the old pictures from that place.
Fully charged the moment I made my way up those rickety, dangerous, weak steps and turned the corner into that one room which you felt weird in.
Yes.
I felt weird in. There's like that heaviness. Don't know what it was. Anyways, the moment I turned around that corner, guess what? The fully charged, ready to go camcorder just stopped.
All right, that's cool, because that is an example of the closer we got to that room, you get to that room and bang.
And then why is something in that room? Exactly.
Yeah, even after how many decades of this home rotting away and having nothing in it. I mean, bare walls. I mean, there were some like antique shoes laying around all over, which was weird.
No, it was weird.
We bring it up at times, but what is there except the energy of a being? It's not. It's a bare room with nothing.
That is also, Mike. That is also the same upstairs. And I'm sorry, we have to wrap it up here, but that's also the same location when I was there recently where I heard music out of nowhere. Yep. And it wasn't picked up on the recorder. Of course it wasn't.
You were thinning that veil up just a little bit more enough with the energy that you were giving it to.
It was weird.
To come through.
You don't hear it. It didn't pick up the music, but you hear me reacting because on the recorder, because I'm like, I say, well, that was weird because I heard music.
Yeah. Right.
It was really weird. I mean, and there was no way I could have heard music from anywhere around that house.
I know exactly what you're saying because I've had the example in the house I lived in Park Rapids. It was so haunted. Heard music, heard the whispering in the air. The example of my dad and I being in that dilapidated, abandoned farmhouse out in the middle of nowhere for miles and miles. We were on dirt roads, no highway, nothing. And we heard kids. I heard it. My dad didn't hear it. He was further ahead. I heard kids playing in the yard.
I know. Oh, Man.
And that maybe that didn't happen for years, that laughter, until my dad and I were there. There's energy popping up,
Yep.
sucking it out of us to what we had. And there was enough to make these kids just have that little bit of laughter for just a moment.
And you know why? Maybe because that was a very pleasurable, emotional moment for those kids at that time for whatever reason.
Yep.
And it was
And I tell you
imprinted
when-
there.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm cutting you off now. But anyway, yeah, when I heard it, it was an emotional and happy thing for me. There is nothing bad about it. It was children having legitimate fun.
You felt what they felt.
Oh, it was amazing. It was a great experience. I'll never forget it.
Symbiotic, man.
Yeah,
Symbiotic.
absolutely.
Well, Mike, we got to wrap it up. But when you mentioned like the waviness between the realms, the kind of the limbo realm.
I could have went way further with other things, but we are running short here.
But the image that popped in my brain, I don't know if you've seen the movie Johnny Dangerously, starring Michael Keaton from way back in the early 80s.
Love it. Yeah.
Well, there's a scene where he's talking to a young boy. He's going to tell him his life story, and then does the classic, the TV screen starts shimmering and kind of getting blurry because they're time travel. Well, then the kid goes, "Hey, what's happening?" What? And Michael Keaton goes, "Oh, don't worry. That just happens when I start talking about the past." It's like they were really in that wavy realm of limbo there. It was funny.
That's cool.
Mike, this has been awesome. Thank you, man, for making this work. I know it was a tough go for you to get set up, but I appreciate you doing it, man. This has been awesome. We needed to get
it's always worth it.
We needed to get an episode out, and we hope everyone enjoyed this. We had a great time. I am literally sweating because I'm thinking so much, and so my brain doesn't want to do that anymore.
We could have went so much further too.
Yes.
Seriously.
We're going to have longer episodes coming up here when I get a different to go along with our YouTube videos. Some changes, some positive changes coming up. We hope everyone sticks with us. It's going to be a good journey as always. Mike, this has been a blast. Until next time, my friend, what do our friends in the paranormal field and of the podcast need to do?
Peace out.